There are moments in life when you feel like you're holding on tightly to everything. Your plans, your expectations, your past, even your fears, as if letting go of any one of them might leave you empty or unprotected. But in reality, holding on too tightly is often what keeps you from moving forward and receiving what life truly has in store for you. We are taught to cling, to protect, to control every outcome. But life doesn't always respond to a tight grip. Sometimes it responds to openness. Sometimes it responds to openness, to trust, to the willingness to release what is weighing you down so your hands, your mind, and your heart can be ready for something greater. Empty your hands is not about losing. It is about making space. It is about trusting that what you release is not the end of your story, but the beginning of something new, something better aligned with who you are becoming. When you let go of what no longer serves you, when you release old fears, outdated beliefs, and things that drain your energy, you create room for growth, for opportunity, for blessings that could not fit into a life already full of what needs to be left behind. Life has a way of giving more to those who are willing to release, because empty hands are ready hands, open hands are prepared hands, and only when you create that space can something new truly enter and stay in your life. There comes a point in your life where you have to be honest with yourself, where you have to take a hard look at what you're holding on to and ask if it's really helping you grow or just keeping you comfortable in a place you've outgrown. Because not everything you carry is meant to stay with you. Some things were only meant for a season. Some things were only meant for a season. You keep holding on to habits, to people, to thoughts, to situations that drain your energy, and you call it loyalty. You call it responsibility. You call it being strong. But sometimes strength is not about holding on. Sometimes strength is about knowing when to release, when to walk away, when to make space for something better. Because here's the truth. Life is always trying to give you more growth, more opportunity, more clarity, more peace. But if your hands are already full, if your mind is already crowded, if your heart is already weighed down, then how can anything new enter your life? You have to understand that letting go is not losing. It is creating room. It is making space for what is aligned with who you are becoming. Because the version of you that you are stepping into cannot thrive in the same environment that the old version lived in. Think about it. If you keep holding on to what no longer serves you, you are blocking the very blessings that are trying to reach you. You are standing in your own way without even realizing it. And that is a quiet form of limitation that many people never break free from. Letting go requires courage. It requires honesty. It requires the willingness to face discomfort. Because when you release something familiar, even if it's not good for you, it still feels like loss. It still feels like stepping into the unknown. And the unknown can be intimidating. But growth always happens beyond your comfort zone, never inside it. And if you want your life to expand, if you want to experience more, achieve more, become more, then you have to be willing to release what is holding you back. Even if it feels difficult in the moment, there are people in your life who were part of your journey, who taught you lessons, who played their role in your story, but their season has ended. And if you keep trying to force them to stay, you are holding on to something that is no longer meant for your path. There are thoughts in your mind that limit you, thoughts that tell you that you are not enough, that you cannot do it, that you should settle for less. And if you continue to hold on to those thoughts, you are allowing them to define your reality, even though they are not the truth. You have to challenge what you carry, question it, examine it, and decide whether it belongs in the life you are trying to build, because your future deserves space. Your potential deserves room to grow, and your vision deserves the opportunity to come to life without being suffocated by the past. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is recognizing that not everything that once mattered is meant to stay, and that growth requires change, requires movement, requires the ability to release what is no longer aligned with your direction. You don't build a new house on old, unstable ground. You clear the space. You remove what is broken, what is no longer useful, and you prepare the foundation for something stronger, something better. And your life works the same way. If you want more peace, you have to release what disturbs your peace. If you want more success, you have to let go of habits that limit your progress. You have to let go of habits that limit your progress. If you want more clarity, you have to release the noise that clouds your thinking, because what you hold on to determines what you can receive. There is a freedom that comes with letting go, a lightness, a sense of control over your own life that cannot be achieved while you are still holding on to everything that doesn't belong to you anymore. And once you experience that freedom, you will realize how much you were carrying that you didn't need. You are not meant to be stuck. You are not meant to be weighed down. You are meant to move forward, to evolve, to grow into something greater. And that requires you to make decisions that may not always be easy, but are necessary for your progress. Every time you release something that no longer serves you, you create a vacuum, and life will fill that space with something new, something better, something more aligned with your purpose, but only if you make room for it. So stop holding on out of fear. Stop clinging to what is familiar just because it feels safe. Because safety without growth becomes a prison, and you were never meant to live a life that keeps you confined. Trust yourself enough to let go. Trust the process enough to believe that what leaves your life is making space for something better to enter. Because life is always working in your favor. Because life is always working in your favor. Even when it feels like you are losing something, letting go is not the end, it is the beginning of something new, something that has the potential to transform your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. And when you finally release what no longer serves you, you will see how much life has been waiting to give you all along. There comes a moment in your life when you realize you can't move forward while still holding on to what's behind you, because the weight of the old will always slow down the growth of the new. And if you're serious about becoming better, about reaching higher, about stepping into something greater, then you have to understand that holding on to the past will keep you stuck in a place you have already outgrown. You keep carrying old habits, old beliefs, old disappointments, old versions of yourself, and you wonder why life feels heavy, why progress feels slow, why new opportunities seem just out of reach. But the truth is, you cannot pour new life into a container that is already full of what no longer belongs. Releasing the old is not about forgetting your past. It is about learning from it, and then having the strength to move forward without being defined by it. Because your past is a teacher, not a prison, and the lessons it gave you were meant to guide you, not to hold you back. If you look closely, you will see that everything in your life has seasons. People come and go. Opportunities rise and fall. Circumstances change. And each season has a purpose, a lesson, a reason for being in your life at that time. But when the season ends, you have to be willing to move on, even if it feels uncomfortable, because staying attached to something that has already run its course is like trying to walk forward while constantly looking backward. You cannot see what's ahead if your focus is stuck on what's behind you. And that lack of focus can cost you opportunities that are waiting in front of you right now. You have to ask yourself honestly, what are you still holding on to that no longer serves the person you are becoming? What habits are slowing you down? What thoughts are limiting your potential? What attachments are keeping you from growing into your next level? Because growth requires space, and space only comes when you release what is no longer needed. There is a power in letting go. There is a power in letting go, a kind of freedom that cannot be explained until you experience it. Because when you finally release the weight of the old, you begin to feel lighter, clearer, more focused. And in that space, new energy begins to flow into your life. The new cannot exist where the old still dominates, and if you want new opportunities, new relationships, new levels of success, then you have to make room for them by letting go of what is no longer aligned with that direction. Sometimes what you're holding on to is not even visible to others. It's internal, it's emotional, it's mental. It's the fear of change, the fear of losing control, the fear of stepping into something unfamiliar, and that fear can keep you clinging to what is comfortable, even if it is not helping. You grow, but comfort and growth rarely exist in the same space, because growth challenges you, pushes you, forces you to evolve. And that means stepping away from what feels safe in order to step into what is possible. You cannot hold on to old versions of yourself and expect new results, because if nothing changes within you, nothing changes around you. Nothing changes around you. And if you want your life to move in a new direction, you have to start by changing what you are holding on to Release the thoughts that tell you that you are not enough. Release the doubts that tell you that you cannot achieve more. Release the memories that keep you stuck in regret, because none of those things are helping you move forward. They are only keeping you tied to a version of your life that you are meant to grow beyond. There is something powerful waiting for you on the other side of letting go, something that cannot enter your life until you make the decision to release what no longer belongs. And that decision is yours to make. Life will not force you to let go. It will give you signs, it will create situations that push you toward change. But the choice to release, to grow, to move forward, that is something you have to decide for yourself. And when you finally make that decision, when you let go of what has been weighing you down, you will begin to see life differently. You will begin to experience opportunities that were not available before, because now you have created space for them. New beginnings always require endings, and every time you release something old, you are making room for something new to enter. Something better, something deader to enter, something more aligned with the life you are meant to live. So don't be afraid to let go. Don't cling to what is familiar just because it is comfortable, because comfort can become a cage if you let it, and you were not meant to live a life that keeps you confined. Step 4. Ward with confidence. Trust that what you are releasing is making room for something greater, and understand that every ending is simply the beginning of something new, something that has the potential to transform your life in ways you have not yet imagined. There comes a moment in life when you realize that holding on is not always strength. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is control. Sometimes it is the quiet belief that if you don't grip tightly enough, everything will slip away. And that mindset will keep you stuck longer than you can imagine. You keep holding on to plans that aren't working, relationships that are draining you, expectations that are weighing you down, and you call it persistence. But there is a line between persistence and resistance. And when you cross that line, you stop moving forward and start fighting against your own growth. Surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is understanding that you don't have to control every outcome to be secure, that you don't have to force every door to open to find the right path, that sometimes the greatest move you can make is to release your grip and trust that something better is on its way. Because what you are holding on to right now might be blocking what you truly deserve. And as long as your hands are full of what is not aligned with your future, you leave no space for what is meant for you to come in. You cannot carry old burdens and expect new blessings. You cannot cling to fear and expect growth. You cannot hold on to something that is draining you and expect peace to enter your life, because life works on alignment, not on force. There is a deeper strength in surrender, a kind of strength that comes from knowing when to stop struggling against what is not meant for you, and instead trusting the process that is guiding you forward. Even when you cannot see the full picture, you have to be honest with yourself. What are you holding on to that is keeping you from moving forward? What are you afraid to let go of? And why are you still clinging to something that is not giving you what you need? Sometimes it is a relationship that no longer nurtures your growth. Sometimes it is a fear of starting over. Sometimes it is an identity that no longer reflects who you are becoming. And holding on to those things only delays the life that is waiting for you. Surrender means letting go of the illusion of control. It means trusting that life has a way of working things out even when you don't have all the answers. It means believing that what is meant for you will not pass you by just because you stopped forcing it. When you release what you are holding on to, you create space. And that space is where new opportunities begin to form, where new paths begin to open, where new possibilities begin to take shape. But that only happens when you are willing to let go of what no longer serves you. There is a peace that comes with surrender, a calmness that replaces the constant pressure of trying to control everything. And in that peace, you begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You begin to see your direction more clearly. You begin to understand what truly matters. You are not losing anything when you surrender. You are making room for something greater, something that aligns with your purpose. Just something that is worth far more than what you are holding on to out of fear or habit. Think about it. Every time you held on to something too long, it cost you something. Your time, your energy, your peace, and in some cases, your growth. But every time you let go, you created an opportunity for something better to come into your life. Surrender requires courage because it goes against everything your instincts tell you. Your mind wants to hold on, your emotions want to cling, but your spirit knows when it is time to release. And listening to that deeper knowing is where real strength lies. You have to trust that what is coming to you is greater than what you are letting go of, that the life waiting for you on the other side of surrender is more aligned with who you are becoming, and that your willingness to release is what opens the door to receive. There is no reward in holding on to what is not meant for you, but there is a powerful reward in trusting enough to let go. Because when you finally surrender, when you finally release what has been weighing you down, you make space for something that can elevate your life in ways you have not yet experienced. So take a moment and reflect on what you need to release, what you need to surrender, what you need to let go of in order to move forward. Because your next level requires a lighter version of you, a freer version of you, a version of you that is open to receiving, let go with intention, trust with purpose, and understand that surrender is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of something greater, something that has been waiting for you to make room for it, and when you do, you will see just how much life has been ready to give you all along. There comes a moment in your life when you realize that holding on too tightly is not protecting you, it is limiting you. Because when your grip is closed around what you already have, you leave no space for what could be coming your way. And life has a way of presenting opportunities that require an open hand, not a clenched fist. You think holding on shows strength, that keeping control means you are secure. That if you loosen your grip, something important will slip away. But the truth is, the tighter you hold, the less room you create for growth, for change, for something greater to enter your life. Emptying your grip does not mean losing control of your life. It means trusting that you don't have to control everything to move forward. It means understanding that some of the things you are clinging to are the very things blocking your next level. You cannot move into new opportunities while still clinging to old fears, old habits, old limitations, because those things take up space. They occupy your mind, your time, your energy, and if you are not careful, they will keep you stuck in a cycle that never allows you to evolve. Look at your life honestly. What are you still holding on to that no longer serves your growth? What are you afraid to release? And why are you still gripping something that is not leading you forward? Because holding on to what is familiar might feel safe, but it can also become the reason you never step into something greater. Opportunities don't always come in ways you expect. Sometimes they require you to let go of something first, to trust that releasing what you have will create the space for something better to come in. And if your hands are already full, you won't be able to receive what is meant for you. There is power in being open, in being willing to let go, in trusting that life is working in your favor even when you cannot see the full picture. Because when you empty your grip, you allow life to move freely in your direction. Think about the times you held on to something too long. Maybe a situation, maybe a relationship, maybe an idea that was no longer aligned with where you were going, and ask yourself what it cost you. Because holding on to the wrong things always comes with a cost. Your time, your peace, your progress. But when you let go, when you finally release, something shifts, something opens, something begins to flow into your life that wasn't able to reach you before. And that is the power of an open hand. It creates room for new energy, new ideas, new opportunities. To enter, you have to train yourself to recognize when something is no longer serving you, when it has run its course, when it is time to release it and move forward. Because staying attached to the past will only slow down the future that is waiting for you. Growth requires movement, and movement requires letting go. Because you cannot step into the next chapter of your life while still holding on to the last one. At some point, you have to turn the page. You have to trust that what is ahead is worth the risk of releasing what is behind. There is a discipline in letting go, a quiet strength that comes from choosing not to cling, from choosing to trust the process, from choosing to believe that what is meant for you will not miss you just because you decided to open your hands. And that discipline is what prepares you for bigger opportunities. Because bigger opportunities require a bigger version of you. Because bigger opportunities require a bigger version of you. A version that is not weighed down by unnecessary attachments. A version that is clear, focused, and ready to receive. Emptying your grip is not about giving up. It is about leveling up. It is about making room for more, for better, for greater, because life does not limit what it can give you. But your ability to receive it depends on your willingness to let go of what is holding you back. You have to trust that letting go is not the end of your progress. It is the beginning of a new phase. It is the beginning of a new phase. A phase where you are no longer confined by what once was, but open to what is becoming. And when you finally release your grip, when you stop holding on to what no longer aligns with your growth, you will begin to see opportunities you couldn't see before. You will begin to experience possibilities that were always there, just waiting for you to open up. So loosen your grip, clear your hands, open your life, because what is coming next requires space, requires trust, requires a verse. Ion of you that is ready to receive without hesitation. Life is always ready to give you more, but it cannot pour into a closed hand, and the moment you decide to open up, to release, to trust, that is the moment everything begins to change. That is the moment your life begins to expand in ways you never imagined. There are moments in life when what you thought was a loss feels final, when something slips through your hands and you stand there wondering why, questioning what went wrong, asking yourself what you could have done differently. And in those moments, it feels like you've been set back, like something valuable has been taken from you. But not every loss is what it seems, because sometimes losing is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of something greater, something you cannot yet see, something that requires you to step back in order to move forward in a different direction. You may have lost opportunities, relationships, plans that didn't work out, dreams that didn't unfold the way you expected. And at the time, it felt like failure. It felt like rejection. It felt like something was taken away from you unfairly. But what if those losses were clearing the path for something better? Because life has a way of removing what no longer fits, even if you are not ready to let it go, even if you are still attached to it, even if it once meant everything to you. Life knows when it's time to move you forward, and sometimes that means taking away what is no longer aligned with your growth. You don't always recognize the blessing in the moment, because pain can cloud your perspective. Disappointment can make it hard to see clearly. But when time passes and you gain distance from the situation, you begin to understand that what you lost was not always meant to stay. There are doors that close in your life not because you are not capable, but because you are being redirected toward a better one, a door that leads to something more aligned, more meaningful, more suited for who you are becoming. And if those doors had stayed open, if those situations had worked out, you might never have discovered the path that was truly meant for you. You might have stayed comfortable, never realizing your full potential, never stepping into the life that was waiting on the other side of that loss. Losing forces you to grow. It forces you to adapt, to reflect, to rebuild. And in that process, you begin to develop strength, resilience, and clarity that you wouldn't have gained otherwise, because when everything is going well, when nothing is being taken away from you, it is easy to stay the same. But when you experience loss, when something is removed, you are forced to look within, to reevaluate, to rise above what has happened, and keep moving forward. There is a hidden gift in every loss, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time, because that loss teaches you something about yourself, about life, about what truly matters. And those lessons are what prepare you for the greater things ahead. Think about the times you lost something and later realized it was for the best. Maybe you walked away from a situation that wasn't right for you. Maybe you lost something that was holding you back. And even though it hurt at the time, it opened the door to something far better. That is the nature of growth. It often begins with letting go, with losing something you thought you needed. But what you gain in return is far more valuable, more aligned, more meaningful. Sometimes losing is what creates space. Space for new opportunities, new relationships, new levels of success. Because as long as you are holding on to something that no longer belongs, You are preventing something new from entering life, has a way of balancing itself, of removing what needs to be removed so that something better can take its place. And even though that process can be painful, it is necessary for your evolution. You have to trust that what you lost is not the end of your story. It is part of your journey. It is part of the path that is leading you towards something greater than what you had before. And one day, when you look back at the things you thought you lost, you will realize they were never losses at all. They were redirections, they were lessons, they were stepping stones guiding you toward where you were always meant to be. Because what you gain after a loss is often stronger, more meaningful, and more aligned with your purpose. And that kind of gain only comes after you have been willing to let go, willing to endure, willing to trust the process. So don't fear losing. Don't hold on to things just to avoid loss, because sometimes losing is exactly what you need to move forward, to grow, to become the person you are meant to be. Trust that even in the moments of loss, something greater is being built, something that will bring you to a place you could not have reached without going through what you went through. And when you finally step into that place, when everything starts to come together, you will understand that what felt like losing was actually preparing you to gain more than you ever imagined. And when you stand in that moment where everything finally makes sense, you will realize that nothing you lost was ever truly wasted. Every closed door, every disappointment, every ending was guiding you towards something greater, something that required you to let go before you could receive it. You will see how the pain shaped your strength, how the setbacks built your resilience, how the losses cleared the path for opportunities that were meant to elevate your life. And in that realization, gratitude will replace regret. Because what you thought was taking something away from you was actually preparing you, refining you, positioning you for a life that is more aligned with who you are becoming. You won't just recover from what you lost. You will rise because of it, stronger, wiser, more focused, and more aware of your purpose. So don't fear loss, don't resist the process, trust that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning, and every time something leaves your life, it is making space for something greater. To enter, stay patient. Stay grounded to enter, stay patient. Stay grounded and keep moving forward, because what's meant for you is still on its way, and when it arrives, it will be worth everything you had to let go of to get there.